Hi everyone, welcome to the TriEssence martial art channel. So this will be a quick video. Just let everybody know that I'm still alive and kicking, for better or worse, and that the channel would continue. And I do apologize that I haven't been able to update any new content for the past month or so. And I especially apologize to all my Patreon supporters, because I know you guys are supporting me financially and I haven't been able to put up any new content, so I'm deeply sorry about that. With that said, today's video isn't going to be martial related, so if that's what you came for, then you should switch off the video by now, because this isn't going to be what you're interested in. However, I'm just going to take this time to briefly explain what happened in my life for the past month or so and why I haven't been able to update my videos. So if you're interested in getting to know a little more about my life, then keep watching. So if you have watched my last video, you should undoubtedly know that I flew to Cape Town, right? I live in Pretoria, it's a city in South Africa, and I flew to Cape Town for a TV commercial shoot. I gotta do whatever it takes to pay the bills. So occasionally I do TV commercial, and the brand that I was representing this time is a fruit cider drink kind of thing called Somersby. Here you can see a picture of the product I'm representing. This isn't an actual ad, it's just a picture I took of the product that I'm representing. The ad should come out in a couple of months' time, I assume, and it will be aired in Europe and Asia. Anyway, so that took over a week, and it was a lot of hard work. Every day I gotta wake up at 4 in the morning, and I only get back to my hotel at around 9:30 in the evening, and I sleep around 10 or 11. So it was quite tiring, and I had been on set for at least minimum 10 to 12 hours a day, and sometimes we overtime to 13 or 14 hours. So it's quite a lot of work. Although I have to say the pay's decent, and that's why I do it. So that basically took an entire week out of my December. And when talking about ad, here is a short clip of an ad I did last year around July about for a brand called UD Truck.
Truck, anywhere, anytime with UD Telematic Services. And with our Japanese heritage and reputation, better business, a better planet.
So when I flew back from Cape Town, naturally I had to take 1 week of self-isolation where I didn't interact with anyone. So obviously during this period I can't make any videos with Eric. And of course I also needed a lot of time to catch up on my sleep. I was really sleep deprived during that week of commercial shoots. Unfortunately, that's just the industry standard. If you're doing any type of commercial or series or movies, you are going to be severely sleep deprived. And also, after I catch up my sleep, I was also trying to finish my artwork. And if you watch my last video, you should also know that I was participating in an art competition. So here's the picture of my final finished painting. It's a lot better than the one that I shown in my last video, which was not fully completed. And in case if you are wondering the result of that art competition, I didn't win. And usually I'm okay with not winning. Losing to someone better is fine. Both in martial art, in art, or in fact anything else I do, I'm perfectly fine with losing to people who are better, right? I don't have ego in that way. However, this competition was particularly disappointing because I lost to people who, in my opinion, is not as good. So I believe that art competition was not fairly judged. So here's a few examples of the people who did win. So while art is subjective, one person's favorite art may differ from another person, but I would argue that there are still some fundamental measurements to see whether, on a fundamental level, things such as rendering technique, brushing technique, composition, color, these things can still determine an amateur art to a more skilled art. And especially when it comes to portrayal of realism and commercial art, there's definitely a standard of measurement to see which art is technically better. Of course, the organizer of such contest, they have the final say in who wins and who doesn't, and so I'm not too hung up on the fact that I didn't win any of the top 3 prizes. But what did really upset me is the fact that under other submission category, right, where you have the 3 winners, and then there's a section where it showcases other participants' work that didn't win the prizes, my work was not even included in the other submission category. Now the reason this upset me is because I spent a lot of time working on this piece. It's fine that I didn't win any prizes. I was never doing it for the prizes to begin with. But I was not even included on their website at all. It's like my work didn't even exist. Especially when they feature quite a few very noobish or amateur art such as this one. If this work is good enough to be featured, I don't understand why my work is not featured. Now I know this isn't related to Chinese martial art in any way, but this kind of got me thinking, and made me realize that art, fine art, is actually quite in a similar debacle to Chinese traditional martial art, in the sense that most of the people who are running the show, they don't really know what they are doing. And Chinese martial art masters, as well as artists that are mostly recognized around the world, they're also under-deserving and underqualified. Now, I have studied art history and art theory back in college. I mean, I wouldn't say I know everything, but I do know a fair amount of it, more than average person. And I do know how to appreciate abstract art, such as, ever since the Impressionists, Monet, Van Gogh, Gauguin, or up until modernism, postmodernism, cubism, Dada, all of that. I do know how to appreciate and understand abstract and conceptual art. But still, armed with that education and knowledge, when I walk to a modern gallery these days, all I see is poor art disguised as abstract art. Of course, there are still a few good ones hidden between here and there, but majority of the artwork that I do see in modern galleries, at least in South Africa, I've never been to a gallery in other countries, but at least in South Africa, it's just terrible. It's not even good when it's measured by abstract art standard. And of course, some people might argue that art can't be measured at all. But if that were true, then a kid could draw a circle and it would be high art. So what it's true that art is quite a free form of expression, and every movement has its own standing and manifesto. But there should at least still be some measurement of skill versus just trash art. And frankly, most of the art that I see in galleries these days, they are trash. And they still command very high value because the art community is essentially not 100%, but a majority of it is used as a device for money laundering and for tax evasion, and that is pretty sad. Now, while Chinese martial art community is not exactly the same way, but it has a very similar behavior, where people who are really qualified, such as my Wuxing Tongbei master, my Taiji master, etc., are unheard of. The government don't promote them, media don't promote them, they don't have money to promote themselves, so they just are left rotting away in their own apartment building in Beijing, while people who are much less qualified, skilled, who can't even fight their way out of a paper brown bag, are praised internationally as the greatest Chinese martial art master ever lived. And that's the kind of sad society and age that we are currently living in. And this is even worse to happen to Chinese traditional martial arts, because martial art is supposed to be something that you can measure with its utilitarian functionality, which is to fight. If you can't fight as a Chinese martial artist, you have failed the thing that you're supposed to be skilled at. And I will say this here, the majority of the famous masters that you see on TV, you see on media that goes around internationally for seminars, they can't fight at all, which is why you never see them fight either, okay? Don't take a demonstration with a student or a staged kind of challenge as evidence to fighting. If you look at actually them fighting someone who knows how to fight, and someone who that they don't know and hasn't been pre-arranged, they will get their asses handed to them. That is the reality of Chinese martial art today. If this were not true, then that MMA fighter in Beijing, Xu Xiaodong, he would not have been rampaging through Chinese martial art community for now the 5th year, I believe, and still no one has ever stand up to him and sufficiently put him in his place. Anyway, this is just some rant I have towards Chinese traditional martial art and its current state. That is kind of inspired from this unfair art tournament. And and unfortunately, I'm involved in both Chinese martial art and art where talent and skill aren't treated fairly compared to other more academic field where the skill can clearly be measured. I guess that's just my luck. And while I was actually trying to complete this painting, the power substation in my area actually burned down. Well, and if you're wondering how can an entire power substation burn down, welcome to South Africa, where incompetent people runs the show. So this happened a few days before Christmas, and basically my house was in total darkness without power for over 3 full days. So luckily they rerouted power from other stations, so eventually just before Christmas we got our power back. And obviously during Christmas I didn't get a chance to make videos. And right after Christmas I fell sick. So that's basically 2 weeks after I came back from Cape Town. I usually don't get sick, and if I do, I usually just sleep it off over one night. But this started off with a cold and flu symptom. Eventually I got a fever on the second day, and the fever remained for just almost 3 days. So at which point I highly suspect that I had COVID. And eventually, after doing the test, it is confirmed that I had COVID, and most likely the new variant Omicron, who has been rampaging in South Africa and other countries for the past couple of months. And and in case you're wondering where did I go to party to catch this virus, most likely I caught it on my plane back from Cape Town after the commercial shoot. So when we were doing commercial shoot, every day in the morning, 5 o'clock, we would take a COVID test, and then once we are test negative, we are allowed to enter set and participate in the commercial shoot. So I'm pretty sure I didn't catch the virus on set during work. But obviously on my flight back, that's probably most likely where I caught the virus. After I came back, I isolated myself for a week, and after that, I actually didn't go around interacting with people. I didn't even go to grocery shopping. I only saw 2 friends, Jackson, and which you don't know, and Eric, which you often see in my channel. I saw Eric for Christmas lunch. And he didn't get sick, so naturally I didn't get the virus from him, nor did I get it from Jackson, because none of the members in his family are sick. So the only place I could have caught the virus was from the airplane back. And unfortunately, that is the kind of risk one has to take these days, and when you do work. And obviously I can't not work or do these things because then I got bills to pay. So it was unfortunate, but I survived. As you can see, I'm alive and breathing. But that's the main reason why I couldn't update any video, because I was in bed. And for the first couple of days when I got sick, it was really bad. I had fever non-stop, and I didn't have medicine in my house because I usually don't get sick, so I don't actually prepare medicine in advance. And I was too sick to drive to the pharmacist, nor do I want to drive because I'm basically a walking plague, so I don't want to, pass it around to other people. And I didn't feel like going to see a doctor because again, I was too sick to drive, but also there are no real medication for this, okay? They can give you some vitamin, maybe some flu medication, but there are no real cure to Omicron. Which is why I decided to save myself the stress to drive to see a doctor, because from where I live to the doctor is about 20-minute drive, and I was really sick, so I don't want to risk driving on the road in that condition. So I basically just lied in bed and face tanked the COVID-19 Omicron until I got better. So here is a quick public announcement, right? I have a Mecertin, I think that's what it's pronounced as. This thing is not a COVID cure, okay? Basically, after I got a bit better, some other people that I know heard that I'm sick, and then they decided to, insists that this is a cure to COVID, and if you eat it before you got sick, it can prevent COVID, and after you are sick, it will cure COVID. That is an utter lie. I've spoken to two of my friends who are medical doctors, and they basically told me that there has been cases where when someone is severely ill from COVID to a point where they are possibly gonna die, and so there has been reports where after taking this medication they got better, but there are not enough medical research to support that this actually cures COVID. So they're not sure exactly what happened in those particular cases. It doesn't work for everyone, and there's no ingredients in this medicine that actually cures COVID or any type of flu. This is a deworm medication that has some mild ability to be anti-inflammatory. Okay, so I didn't take that medication. Someone gave me some. I just kept it as an example to tell people don't take this thing. So basically, I just stayed in bed, drank water, and yeah, basically, as I said, survived COVID. And luckily, it wasn't as severe because I did take vaccination last year. So I didn't get to a point where I had to go get a breathing respirator. I basically just survived on my own. So the fever lasted between 2 or 3 days. I can't remember exactly. But after that, I had a severe fatigue for almost 3 weeks, where every day I just feel like sleeping. I sleep, I wake up, I get up, I do something, and I feel tired again, and I go back to bed. So the heavy fatigue that I experienced, according to my doctor friend, is a common COVID-induced symptom caused by a severe lack of oxygen in my bloodstream. And according to him, there's actually quite a number of people who actually die from a lack of oxygen due to this kind of symptom. So he was quite concerned. But personally, I don't have inner fear of this, and I'm not bothered by it. I believe that if it's my time, it's my time, and if it's not, it's not. So I didn't really concern too much. I kind of just stayed in bed, got up whenever I can. When I'm too tired, I stay in bed, and after a few weeks, the symptom went away. So in any case, for the past few days, I've been starting to feel more normal. I'm still coughing and probably still not 100%, but I no longer feel the severe fatigue that I did. As I got sick, especially I got sick the worst actually through New Year Eve. So New Year Eve I actually spent in bed. But yeah, so now I do feel better, and that's why I'm making this video. And I'm also going to start updating my channel with new and interesting content as soon as I'm able to. I also did take another COVID test, and it came up negative, so I am fine to interact with other people such as Eric. So I'm gonna try to arrange with him and see his schedule, and I'm gonna start making videos again. So for those of you that are watching this video, thanks for taking interest in my life, and also thanks for taking interest in my channel, and hopefully that my future content will also be of your interest and liking. And as always, my channel is intended for a voice of reason and a voice of truth, and I will be continuously exposing fraud in Chinese martial art and try to spread the correct understanding and knowledge. So if you've been following my channel, you know about the elbow drama. That drama hasn't ended. I will be making new video addressing that drama, hopefully pretty soon. So lastly, I'd like to remind everyone, COVID is real, from my personal experience, and it is quite troublesome. Even if I didn't die from it, it still caused me a lot of issue and a loss of time. So stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask, wash your hands, keep away from crowded places, keep your social distance if you can. And thanks for watching TriEssence Martial Art channel, and I'll see you soon.